The Hobbit trilogy was the most disappointing thing since Star Wars The Phantom Menace. The Lord of the Rings trilogy is probably the greatest trilogy ever made, so I was hoping for The Hobbit to at least be good, and entertaining, and not boring, and ugly. Peter Jackson is an incredible filmmaker. He was 100% the right choice for directing these movies. The failure of the Hobbit movies was not his fault. In fact, without him, these movies would be actual garbage. Whose fault was it? Who should we blame? Who should we shame?
You money-hungry bastards!
I know just what to do with you. Luckily, Peter Jackson is a talented filmmaker and was able to make this rushed studio cash grab actually watchable. Now, do I think the Hobbit movies are bad? No. Well, at least 2 of them aren't. But there's still a huge disappointment coming after Lord of the Rings. So what actually went wrong? Guillermo del Toro was originally set to direct the Hobbit films, but eventually Peter Jackson took over. When he took over, the schedule wasn't adjusted. He wasn't given the amount of time necessary to storyboard and redesign the world to his specification. Long story short, he was playing catch-up the entire shoot. Watching the behind the scenes of the making of the movies, I feel bad for Peter Jackson. He looks miserable. It seemed like nobody knew what they were doing.
But the actual battle itself was a mystery to us. We didn't know what we were doing.
Because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Because I don't know what the hell I'm doing now, because I haven't got storyboards and prep.
Lord of the Rings had so much prep time, and look at the result. I don't know why the studios wanted to rush the movies out so fast. They would make the money back no matter what, and they probably would have made even more money if the movies were actually good.
You dumbass piece of shit loser. The studio has to release the movies on time to pay back their loans. Do you understand the movie's business at all, you fucking stupid prick bitch motherfucker?
These movies are too long.
So the original plan was to make The Hobbit 2 movies. Then they decided to make it 3, because they wanted to be just like Lord of the Rings. The Lord of the Rings was 3 books, turned into 3 movies. Makes sense. The Hobbit is 1 book, stretched out as far as it could possibly stretch, and then turned into 3 movies. Let's do some math. The Lord of the Rings total page count is 1,241, and they turned that into 3 movies. The Hobbit is 304 pages. That's shorter than the first Harry Potter book.
And I read that when I was 6.
And that movie is like 2.5 hours. The Hobbit trilogy is 9 hours. Some of this could have been cut out. The script is unfocused and has way too much pointless nonsense. They finally get that stone, and then Bard takes it and we have no idea what happens to it after that. Isn't that an important thing for the audience to see? Because, you know, it was the main point of the story? There's also way too much forced nostalgia. Fan service can work if it's done right, but most of the time in these movies, it's like they didn't even try.
Alright, so this scene doesn't have any action in it. Yeah, well that's because we need to take the time to flesh out the characters so the audience is aware of who the characters are and what their characteristics are and why they do what they do. Good idea, but I got a better one. How about we put Legolas in this scene? He was a huge hit in Lord of the Rings. It'll make the fans go crazy. That doesn't really make much sense for this scene because he wouldn't even be... Imagine the money we'll make. Oh, I see. That's why you're the boss.
Money-hungry bastards!
What is that?
I know just what to do with you. Martin Freeman is great as Bilbo. He is the best part about these movies. He's likable, funny, compelling, and perfectly cast. The rest of the characters... not so much. Let's look at which characters are actually compelling and have a character arc, or at least some decent character development. Bilbo. Thorin. Kind of. That's it. Gandalf is so lame in these movies. Like, I genuinely can't remember a single thing he did. Alright, now it's time for diving deep into the character of Bard. Bard has an amazing storyline and some fantastic character growth. After he kills Smaug, let's talk about Smaug. Smaug is a dope dragon who breathes fire, and the CGI looks fantastic, and he's really threatening. Legolas seems very pointless. I don't really know why he's in these movies. Does he do anything in the book? What does Legolas do in the Hobbit book? Wait, Legolas does not appear in the Hobbit book. For f***'s sake. Tauriel is also not in the book. I really like the idea of her character. She actually gives Legolas a reason to keep showing up because he's in love with her. I also like the idea of her being a love interest for one of the dwarves because God knows they need something to do in these movies too. However, the love story is not written well. It's actually written bad. I don't buy them being in love at all. They have like 2 conversations. You had 3 hours to develop this relationship. Scratch that, you had 6 hours. This starts in the second one and ends in the third one. Thranduil, he was fine. He brought some tension to some of the other characters, and I like how he retreats in the Battle of the Five Armies, because at least he did something other than fight some CGI for 7 hours. Alfred. What was the point of this character? He's ugly as and does nothing for the story. He has no arc and doesn't enhance any other character's story either. Get out of here. Get out of this movie. Azog, dope character design. Bolg? I have no idea who that is, and I just watched the movies. Gollum. Okay, I liked seeing Gollum. That part was good. 13 dwarves. I know this is faithful to the book, but I think it would have benefited the movie if there were less dwarves. Or, it's entirely possible to have all 13 dwarves in the movie and give them all something to do, give them all distinct characteristics, and give them some character development. They had 9 hours of screen time to do it. Hell, Ocean's 13 did it in 2. I honestly have no idea who most of the dwarves even are. They all seem like the exact same character.
How quickly can you name all of the dwarves?
Ori Nori Dara Biffa Buffer Bomber Balin Dwellin Philly Killy Thorin. Oin Gloin.
Dori Ori Nori, Biffa Bomber Bofa, Dwalin Balin, Oin Gloin, Thorin, Philly Killy.
Thorin Balin Dwalin, Philly Killy, Oin Gloin, Biffa Buffer Bomber, Ori Nori Dori.
Okay. Philly, Killy, Billy, Dilly, Dory, Fory. You couldn't quite remember them. No, let me finish. I know it, okay? I know. Dory, Fory, Dory, Dalin, Bully, Dalin, Balin, Dalin, Oing, Boing, Doing, Toing, Toing, Da. Okay, good try now. Next question? No, I know them, alright? What kind of question is this? I'm out of here. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not doing this. I'm not.
One of my favorite parts of Lord of the Rings is the insane production design and the grand scale of all the practical effects. Obviously, there is CGI in Lord of the Rings, and some of it is pretty dated, but a lot of it is real, and that is the stuff that looks the best. The Hobbit movies look like a video game for most of the scenes. Like, straight up, most of the scenes in these movies look so fake. Lord of the Rings looks so much better, and they were made over a decade before The Hobbit. A lot of it probably had to do with the rush production, but still, the CGI could look a lot better. I can't even imagine how long it took to animate these movies when they're all 3 hours long. If the movies were shorter, or if they had less movies to begin with, the animators could have had a lot more time to get the images looking more realistic. I think they spent all their money working on Smaug because he actually looks fantastic. But then you look at this. Oh God. What the f*** is going on? I know it seems like I'm hating on these movies, but I don't hate them. There are much worse movies out there, and worse prequels too. I just think these big studios should stop controlling the filmmakers so much and let them actually create what they think is best. That's why they're the director. Some studios are controlling and successful, like Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige can be controlling and still make good movies. It's so easy to make a good movie. I don't know why people struggle so much. Kidding! The Marvel movies are almost all good, but a lot of them feel the same. Imagine if Edgar Wright got to make his Ant-Man movie. It would probably be my favorite MCU movie.
Excuse me?
Well, it's just a hypothetical, Cap. I mean, Winter Soldier is still my favorite MCU movie.
Liar.
What? I swear! What the Russo brothers were able to accomplish with that movie is incredible, given where he was in the Avengers.
You're gonna regret that.
No.
The
Why am I tied up? Whoa, Cap. Alright, this isn't funny. Get me out of here. Come on, whoa, slow down.